Thank you for joining us for this week's PAVE Coffee Chat. Today's chat, Design Fluidity, will be presented by Lena Lim, Vice President of Business Development at BNN Industries. Throughout her 20 years in the retail design industry, Lena is proud to have supported and collaborated with retailers, architects, and design firms on a number of innovative and beautiful projects. Lena is a longtime active member of New York's retail design community, including serving as past PAVE VP of Events and current director on the PAVE board. She is also a member of the board for the Retail Design Institute New York chapter. At the conclusion of today's chat, we will be hosting a brief Q&A. Please send in your questions using the Q&A button found at the bottom of your screen. Now I will turn it over to Lena.
Thanks, Nikki. Hi, everybody. I'm Lena Lim, Vice President of Business Development at BNN Industries. And thank you so much for joining me today to support the Planning and Visual Education Partnership, the nonprofit that bridges students and the professional design community together. I'm excited to speak today and introduce BNN Industries. Some call us a premier fixture firm, but I like to say that BNN exists to help designers and brands tell their story in a physical environment. When students or young designers ask me for advice, I always say how important it is to collect great resources throughout your career. And, you know, like those little Pandora charm bracelets, if you have a good collection of strong vendor partners, I believe we make your projects much more successful and smooth. So my goal today is to introduce you to 4 of our most popular systems. We like to call them systems, like a collection or a line. And BNN products are modular in nature. So they're like Lego sets. You can take them apart, reconfigure them, and use your creativity to push the boundaries of these systems. Originally designed for our retail community, many architects, design firms, and brands in other segments of business, such as hospitality, workplace, even healthcare, have used our systems in ways that we, the originators, could never have imagined. So I'm going to do a quick tour of the 4 systems and share a lookbook called InSitu, our creative director, Kevin McPhee, published recently, and we'll take some Q&A questions at the end. So I am going to start with a little slideshow. So as mentioned, we're design-driven, modular systems, work with a variety of different business verticals, and we are over 35 years old, almost 40 actually, pushing that. And here are the 4 systems we're going to have a review of today: Fortina, System 1224, Iconic Panels, and Infused Veneer. System 1224. This is originally devised for retailers, you know, as a merchandising system. The panels themselves are 12" by 24, and you know, we're showing it to show how to use with your visual merchandising team with graphics or hanging, shelving, and also different ways to sort of present the brand itself with different methods of coloring and finishes. But the great part of it is it's super easy. It's really modular, kit of parts, and you basically attach it to your wall and put your panels on and adjust all your different accessories onto it. And the neat thing is that it is so flexible. You can use it with a variety of different finishes, a variety of different dimensionality. And one of our first clients who adopted this system was a company called Design Within Reach for their lighting gallery. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of different types of designers adopted it to their needs. You know, this is a corporate office. You can use in hospitality use. And I think, you know, with the theme of today's discussion in mind, design fluidity, I think that sometimes when you're studying and thinking about being a particular type of designer, it's really important to always remember design is design. And so you can take your set of tools and be able to use in so many different environments, whether it's residential, hospitality, retail. So I really like to share all the different ways that people have used this system and imagined it as well. This is another hospitality presentation at a trade show called BDNY, Boutique Design New York, with the trend of this open hotel room, you know, having your closet here on the left and little desk space, and then your little sink or, you know, vanity on the right. Again, flexibility. This is exactly the same system, and using that retail know-how to be able to change spaces really quickly. As you guys can imagine, all the workplace people who are having to reimagine their floor plans, they could use some of these systems without having to do major construction, but create different zones in their areas. And just some other examples of other brands of how they're able to modify the system to be able to make it their own. A company called Everlane. If you guys are in New York, you know that we have a very popular store here in Soho, and they are opening stores nationwide. And they basically said, hey, we want to be able to use some perforated panels. We want to be able to customize our shelving to make this a little bit more our own. And some other shots here of Everlane.
Lena, I'm going to interject real quick. We're having trouble. We're not seeing the slide deck. We're just still.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
You're just seeing me smiling at your face. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back to this little share page. Share screen. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, here we go. So here's system 1224, and we can kind of go quickly. Here's the original designs for retail. You guys can see this now, right? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, terrific. Thank you. So yes, here are the original, like, sort of retail oriented orientations of 1224, this system, this particular system, and all the bits and pieces that make it so simple. And just sort of the different ways and finishes that I had been talking about earlier. But I just really want to, again, just emphasize the flexibility and all the different ways it can be used by different designers. So, you know, something, whether it's a grand lobby or something a little bit more intimate in your room, residential or hospitality, like a bar, cafe, coffee shop type of thing. And this is that open plan we were talking about earlier as a trend in hotels. And this is the connecting thing with retail roots and retail know-how, and how to bring changing spaces quickly. So hopefully this is just a really nice little collection of sharing how this particular system can be changed out for your particular needs. Okay, Fortina. So this is actually a product that looks like wood, but is actually aluminum. And it has this really beautiful finishing that really imitates wood, like people will never be able to even tell. And what the really great thing is, you can use it indoors and outdoors. And here, you know, Express, you can see how it becomes a focal point of the design in the store, having this sort of wood, sort of louvered look that surrounds digital media, or even goes around to their fitting rooms in the back. But as we said, you know, it is indoor and outdoor. A company called Kitten Ace, Fortina, was able to be used as a really warm material for the exterior and the interior, connecting it inside and out. And this is actually a rendering that was, we worked on with a fabulous design firm called Callison RKTL. And this is actually a photo of the installation for Toys R Us, which we were really excited to have that life have that brand come back to life. And Fortina is just a super easy, flexible system. And I think that's a big thing, especially in these times of flexibility, being able to change out things really quickly, having indoor and outdoor flexibility as well, which will be very important. It's a material that McDonald's has adopted as their one of their design features for exteriors. And another way to create zones in a space, you know, to be able to split up spaces, but also be able to still see through. And used as an architectural material as well. Some exteriors for some hotels, interiors. And I love this little portico for the Griffin Club in Los Angeles. I think about a lot of brands that are going to have this BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, and how that can evolve sort of the pickup areas. So I just think it's a really interesting material to work with, especially for exteriors. And these are some other projects here. This is, you know, Silicon Beach out in LA. All these companies had taken this old warehouse district and bought up all these brick buildings and decided how to kind of gussy up the buildings. So this is just an example of how Fortina with the designer can be used to really transform a space. And for any Warriors fans of basketball, we were really excited. We're a Bay Area based company, even though I'm based in New York, but this is the Chase Center in the Bay Area. And just some shots of different hospitality projects as well, different hotels. It gets fire rated A and things like that. So it's a really popular material for a variety of different types of projects. And basically, the designers are the ones who always wow us with their imagination of how to be able to use the products, you know, whether it's a chevron form or combining with really intricate lighting and things like that. The next material is called Iconic Panel, next system. And this is basically a carved panel that originally, again, was used in retail, used with, you know, face outs and hang bars, but became much more of an architectural panel for a lot of our other clients as well, or projects. And here is Godiva. We did a really great like sort of chocolate swirl kind of thing going on. And the amount of carving, the myriad of possibilities of the types of imagery and designs can be really, really beautiful. We collaborated with a designer named Jamie Dury and did this particular set of panels. But as you can see, it can be used in so many different ways in salons, and it's super durable, easy to clean, and just it lends itself to many different environments. Very easy to install. Restaurants. And even hotels. This is actually a map of Union Square. And just some other fun ideas for hospitality as well, furniture. And the beauty of it is so easy to clean. This is even used in healthcare. You know, with the whole idea of design fluidity, that everybody's borrowing from everybody. Retail's borrowing from hospitality, healthcare borrows from hospitality, you know, so I think it's really important to share some of the imagery of how some of these beautiful, you know, even hospital rooms can look. And the last product here today is, it's called Infused Veneer, and another panel system that was originally meant to work with a lot of face outs and merchandising systems, but can be used as beautiful architectural panels and backdrops as well. So again, here's Jamie Dury collection that we did together, and BNN really loves to collaborate. You know, Jamie Dury, artists like Rex Ray and Chantel Martin, our creative director, Kevin McPhee, our CEO, Brad Sundberg, they love to travel for inspiration and work together with all different kinds of people to come up with different aesthetics and beautiful products. This is Rex Ray. And as you can see, it's these panels and a little furniture there. I also have it as my backdrop here. So you can kind of see how colorful and playful mid-century modern kind of motif that is. And it's, this particular technology can be used specifically for particular brands. This is a restaurant client who wanted to have their own specific imagery. As Fogo de Chao, if you guys have ever eaten there with the little meat swords, they wanted to have a particular kind of tree that was featured in their design as well. And it's just a really neat process that kind of combines 2D and 3D looks. So it really fools your eye. We had shown this at a big trade show in Las Vegas, and so many countless people had come up to the booth to try to touch it, and made it into headboards and a backdrop at a W Hotel. And that's kind of our little tour of product. I thought that it would be fun for you to also see our newly published book called InSitu. And this is the brainchild of our creative director, Kevin McPhee. And it's just basically sharing, similar to the PowerPoint that we just reviewed, but some of the systems as imagined in different environments. And these are both available online to download and get you inspired to think about how these systems can be change your environment or in all kinds of different spaces, workspace, healthcare, things like that. So I really love the fact that something that started off with its origins in retail can be so versatile. This system can also be electrified, which is pretty cool. So once it's set up, you can kind of hook in all kinds of neat things, lit shelves, lit cubes and things like that. And again, this is actually my backdrop right here. Just imagining, what the beautiful thing about our systems, they're like little families that can play nicely together. So this is showing 1224 with infused veneer panels. And here it is at a Target HQ office. And just a really nice overview in this book. Here's a little medical office with this sort of perforated panels. And just showing the different suggestions and schematics of ways you can use this. So hopefully, this is a really nice way for you to be able to see that one tool, one system can go across so many different disciplines and so many different ways of designing. And it's really up to the creativity of what project you may have in mind. And hopefully, all of us are really flexible in what we're creating and what we're making together. Hopefully this was also just a nice comprehensive overview for you guys to see some of the things that are out there in the marketplace. I know that the times that I have visited FIT and the different schools to share, or even at NRF as a volunteer to talk with students, a lot of people always say, oh, I never even thought of where the stuff comes from. So, again, kind of going back to my original point of having good resources, I think it's really great for you to see some of the leaders in the marketplace and see what's out there, and see all the different kinds of innovation and ways to use simple products, but really stretch it with creativity. And we are also going to bring back some older systems or legacy systems and refit them and reintroduce them in a really, really cool way. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. So Sorbetti, this is actually a really great way to create zones, in stores or in offices. And we're going to be electrifying it and have a whole slew of new accessories to work with it as well. So we're really excited to reintroduce this line system. And we will also be reintroducing another system called Puck, which you will see in a second. But yes, you could see Sorbetti here in different finishes, different accessories. And here's Puck. So this will be also reintroduced this year as well. And this was basically a merchandising system that you take a panel and put these little pucks on them. And they basically will be electrified, so you can have different kinds of shelving and hang bars and things like that. And hopefully this was, as I said, just a nice overview of things that we are working on. So I was excited to share this. I know that when we had talked about helping to supplement student experiences during, you know, video presentations and things like that, BNN and I, we were super excited to be able to share a little bit of who we were and basically supplement the programs. So that's it for me today. Dash and Nikki, I don't know if you guys had any questions.
Yeah, we've got one question here, more or less relating to any insights you have on the future of brick and mortar and what that could look like going forward.
Well, I mean, you know, we all have our version of our crystal ball, right? What has been an interesting experience for us, particularly at BNN, because several of our clients were part of essential services, you know, medical and banks and things like that. We had a sort of a peek into some things that are going to be necessary for reopening. So I don't have a big picture view of how the design of things may necessarily be in the future, but we have some good ideas of how things are going to work in terms of, you know, population and sanitizing and protecting workers and protecting clients. So I think that's been a really interesting, I don't know if you want to call it an advantage, but just a peek under to see what is about to happen once people start opening up. We've been helping to open up people already.
All right. Any advice that you would have for any students that are attending today in regards to design?
I think it's just really important to remember that there's a big community out there, and I think PAVE is such a wonderful way to connect that community. Whether you make things or you design things, it's really important to remember this takes a village to create all these physical spaces. So any designers, students who are in design, you know, reach out to the vendor community, like people like us, you know, and just kind of keep in touch. And I think PAVE's a great way for them to, I love how PAVE has been also highlighting different students and from different schools. So I think it's a really great way to showcase who you are, especially if you're graduating, to kind of share who you are.
All right. We don't have any other questions, but we'll give it another second to see if anybody wants to throw something out there.
Yeah, that went a lot faster than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. But yeah, yeah, I think that it'll be, yes, okay, so.
Yeah, we got a couple more. So one, you kind of just briefly touched on it, but maybe you can expand a little bit about, you know, how you guys are adapting new ways of designing to allow for more durable ways to sanitize spaces.
No, absolutely. We have a little collection of things that we are working with different clients currently and creating rapid prototypes and things like that. And some of the more interesting things is that there's probably a lot of functioning sanitizing type things out there, but very few of them have the aesthetics that we as environmental designers typically like to work with. And so there seems to be a nice need for things like that. And we've got kind of a small collection now of things that we're working on to help, you know, have that sort of link between safety, but also aesthetics. So I hope that sort of helps answer some things.
Sure. Next one we got for you, if you can talk a little bit about opportunities in the future, as students are probably starting to wonder and question, you know, what are they going to do in their career at this point? So opportunities in the future? What are you guys seeing?
I mean, I think that, there's a lot of news of like things that are happening, things that are closing down, but there's also a lot of companies that are doing really, really well right now, or super busy. So I think that there's a lot of different avenues for and opportunities that will show up. I mean, even just the way that, people order things on their phones and the way that the exterior of a store might be able to look like, there's just so many opportunities that design will be a part of the actual operations of things. So I think it'll continue to be a very important part of the brand to have a cohesive story to tell from as a consumer to being able to continue that and finish that transaction.
And we've got another one here. Some personal thoughts that you might have. Personally, how has this affected your thoughts on the importance of the industry or of your industry? We'll be more specific.
Well, it's funny. I actually, we have an article that came out today about my particular quarantining situation in Design Retail magazine that called Design Diaries. It's a little column that Design Retail had put together. And somewhat by accident, I had, my husband and I had invited 3 of our friends to come up for a long weekend in March to our house upstate. And we ended up becoming quarantine buddies. But the 3 friends, coincidentally, are in the design industry. Some of you guys may know them. Adam Carmichael, who's my Gala co-chair for 3 years. And 2 of our other friends and all 3 of them all own design firms. And so it's been really interesting working together because we're all working every day and having discussions. And because they have such different viewpoints and our discussions, my particular discussions with my particular clients and their particular discussions with their particular clients, we have a really interesting sort of viewpoint on some things. But I think that it's just stuff that is going to be, it's just evolving. Nothing is stopping necessarily. And in terms of like I said, because we were able to work with a lot of these essential service type of clients, seeing that, things will go on and life goes on and all these things will be open again. It's just a little different. I don't think that it's as crazy revolutionary in terms of what, some people might have you think. I think that, a lot of the banks and things like that, they're safely running and have under control all these different sort of thought processes of being able to protect their clients and their employees. So I don't think it's as crazy different as we all think it will be. It's just going to just be different.
All right, we got another one here for you. When students are working and creating design projects, any places out there that you know of where it's a good source for them to find vendor names, so they kind of have those references as they're working on design projects?
I think it's really important to look at your resources, such as different magazines and industry things. I think that we love Design Retail, VMSD, Interior Design Magazine is terrific. And I think when you look through those magazines and sort of look through some of the ads, it is really interesting to see like what types of products there are. So you can start to get a collection of saying, hey, I really gravitated toward this particular type of style or this message or the way this brand looks to me. And it really speaks to me as a designer. So I think it's, really building up your collection of periodicals. I know that sounds so old school, but it's like, a lot of the magazines and, their online presence is also really great, just to be able to look through them and see what community of vendors are out there.
Okay, that looks like that's all the questions for right now. I think there's a couple you'd already addressed, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. And if anyone has any other questions or wants to chat, we're here for you. Thanks, guys. Stay safe.